My name is J.R. Bookwalter. I'm a filmmaker from the United States in the state of Ohio. And my credits include, the first film was The Dead Next Door in the late 80s. And also made movies Robot Ninja, Ozone, and most recently a new movie, my first in 20 years, Side Effects May Vary. Well, I started very young. I used to make Super 8 short films with my mother's Super 8 camera at home, and eventually that led to me. I quit college and wound up sort of stumbling backwards into making my first feature, The Dead Next Door, which was financed by Sam Raimi, sort of legendarily. But I was really just a kid. I mean, I was 19 when I started on that project, and that took 4 years to make and another year before it ever was released in the United States. And then very quickly, in rapid succession, I wound up making a series of other movies for other companies. So, you know, I was very busy from that point forward. So, is that enough detail? Well, I have only been to Europe a few times. I've not spent a lot of time in Europe. I did make a movie for Full Moon called Witch House 2: Blood Coven, which was shot in Romania. So I spent a month in Romania. I think the biggest difference for me is not a filmmaking difference. It's that it's hard to get really common things from the United States, like iced tea and ice in your drinks and things like that. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but as far as filmmaking goes, no, I think it's the same everywhere, really. I mean, as far as making movies go, it's not such a difference. But I think every one of my movies has had a different story as far as the background of how it wound up being made and financed. My earlier movies were all financed, you know, through other companies or individuals. Some of my later movies where we were shooting on video in different formats, I would finance myself and distribute myself, at least in the United States. So that's always it's always the big challenge is how to get the budget to make the movie is always a struggle. But I think probably I've done probably 60% of the movies I've done were work for hire, where it was, you know, somebody was paying you to do it, so it was more of an assignment, and then the rest were either financed, you know, by outsiders or myself. Well, I had about 20 some years ago, I had actually stopped directing movies. I had, after having done them for the first 20 some years, I stepped away from it, and I was still doing a lot of post-production work and distribution and other things. But it wasn't until just last year, 2023, where I sort of came out of retirement and directed Side Effects May Vary, which is my latest movie. And really was just more because it seemed like the time was right. I know now there's more movies than ever and less places probably to distribute them than there used to be. So the market's harder, but I wasn't really approaching it from that standpoint. I just felt like it was a good time to make something and come back to it again. So I haven't necessarily planned out what I intend to do next. I've been traveling the United States with this movie, showing it theatrically around the country, and now we're moving on to putting it out on Blu-ray later in the fall. And as far as what's next, I'm not sure. We'll see. A lot of it depends on how this one does. How it's so far, it's been very well received, but you never know. So, but I have plenty of projects that I would like to do. So it's not certainly no shortage of next projects available, I guess.
It sounds interesting. Yes.
Well, I think physical media is already really become a collector's media. Certainly in the United States, it's almost impossible unless you're Disney to even go into a store and buy physical media anymore. I mean, there's smaller shops, and there's a lot of boutique labels that are keeping it alive, like Vinegar Syndrome and Severin and all these companies there's still a healthy market for it, I think. But I found certainly making my new movie less people are, people will say, "Oh, I want to buy it on Blu-ray," but more people are saying, "When will it be available to stream?" That's sort of the way the market has gone, unfortunately. But I look at those people as more of casual viewers. The real fans, I think, will continue to support physical media, and I think there's enough physical media outlets available, online and through different shops and things like that. That I think it'll have a healthy life, for some years to come, thanks to the collectors. I mean, the collectors are really the ones that will keep it alive. It's interesting. When I started in the mid 1980s, there were certainly people doing it, that were making movies all over the United States. But there's probably more underground filmmakers now than there ever have been, mostly because of the accessibility of the equipment. You can shoot it so much cheaper than you used to be able to, and you don't have to worry about shooting on film and paying for all that the expenses of doing that. So it's not something I necessarily have kept up with every person who's making movies. So I'm not. There's so many that I'm not aware of every day. It seems like I find somebody else that's like, oh my gosh, this is another guy that. So it's. I mean, in that regards, it's great, because that was the thing. That was always the nice thing about when shot on we started shooting on video. It sort of democratized the whole process, where so many more people can do it. And I still believe that the good movies rise, the cream to the top sort of thing, and the lesser movies don't. But it's the same market that it's always been. It's just a lot more people and a lot more competition to some degree, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of I think in the 90s, certainly a lot of the underground filmmakers in the United States, at least, we would see each other at conventions and we would correspond more. I think now everybody's sort of off doing their own thing to a large degree. It's like I think there's a little less collaboration than there used to be with it.
So it was kind of community.
It was, yes. In the 90s, it was a much more.
More or less know each other.
Yeah. And I think now it's sort of like, oh, this person's off doing their thing, this person's doing, but they don't really. A little bit, yeah, yeah. I think part of that is, of course, because the internet has connected all of us to a much larger degree. Where in the 80s and 90s, it was really the magazines and the fanzines, and that was really the only way, or going to a convention. That was the only way you could meet new people. Well, I've never actually made a sequel to my own movies. I directed Witch House 2 and 3 for Full Moon, which I had not made the first movie. But I always felt like sequels are something that you're supposed to do when the movie is financially successful. And I'm not sure that Dead Next Door necessarily fits that bill. I get that. I've forgotten that question over the years many times. And we came close to making it once or twice with different companies, but the deal wasn't right, or it just didn't seem like enough money to do it right, to do it properly. So I actually have since sort of probably abandoned that project. I actually have a sort of a more interesting idea that I would like to do at some point, where it's actually more of a prequel to sort of going back before the Dead Next Door, but then there's sort of an interesting twist to it. So it's a little bit smaller movie where it's a little more contained, but I'm not sure if that will get made either. So we'll see. I'm more sort of interested in making new ideas. Now, if somebody came along and said, "Here's some money, go make it," I probably would do it, sure. But as far as me wanting to do it, I think there's other stories that I would like to tell. So yeah.
We will see.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, for many years, I think I was resistant to the idea of doing it. I'm more open to the idea of doing it now, but I would want to do it under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
I don't want to just do it just to do it. I guess that's yeah.
To do it right.
Right. Yeah.
Understand.
Because out of everything I've done, that movie has had the most attention on it, just because it was the first, and was discovered by people when they were young, and so I feel like there's a lot of expectations too.
Yeah, I get it. You have to make it the right way so it fits, like you said, it fits the bill.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't want to just make it and just say, "Oh, here it is," and Yeah, exactly. That's right. Last words. Well, hopefully they won't be my last words. Hopefully I'll have more words beyond that. But no, I will say I over the years have been approached by a number of fans in Germany, and I'm very grateful for the support that Germans have given my movies over the years. And I know at least a few of the movies are somewhat popular here with the underground fans, and so I would like to say thank you to them and thank you to everyone watching, and I hope to keep doing this now that I've been out of it for so long and have come back to it again. I'm looking forward to making more and continuing to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I think sometimes a step back is like a step forward sometimes.
Well, I think yes, because I think I would not have probably made a movie like Side Effects May Vary when I was younger. I think I had to sort of step away and then come back.
Sometimes it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little longer than I probably had planned to, but I got married, had kids, and then my focus was sort of on family and other things. So now they're a little bit older and they don't need me so much. So my family was actually very involved in the movie. My wife was a production designer. My kids both worked on the movie. My son recorded the sound, and so it was very much. I mean, we had other people as well, but it was very much a family enterprise.
Perfect for a father.
Yes, yeah, and for them it was they knew me after I had made them. They were familiar with the movies because I was distributing them or restoring them, or but they weren't around when those movies were made. So for them, it was sort of an interesting experience to see how it was done and to see the process. Yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, good.
All right.
TALKploitation, des Brausch.